The sponsor for this episode of The Stand is My Case. When you're running a law firm, trust isn't just important, it's everything. And that's why more than 19,000 law firms rely on My Case to keep their practices running smoothly. My Case is a legal practice management software that helps you stay organized, deliver better outcomes for your clients, and grow your firm with confidence. By optimizing their day-to-day operations, firms collect payments faster, 3 times faster in fact, and handle up to 38% more cases. You'll also get real-time insights to make smarter business decisions, all in one place. Ready to see how My Case can set your firm up for success? Head to www.mycase.com/thestand to get started.
Hello again, Lemonaders. It's Alan Wilson from GLJ Benefit Consultants, and welcome to another episode of The Stand, our podcast on the Lemonade for Legal network that focuses on expert business solutions for modern law firms. Today, we're talking accounting. That's right, that big subject of accounting. And we have got an amazing guest, Kelley Brubaker, who is a CPA and an education partner with My Case. Kelley, you are now a Lemonhead. Welcome to The Stand.
Awesome. I think you just made my week to be a Lemonhead. How awesome is that? I love it. Hi, Alan. How are you?
Well, it was just awesome. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for joining us. So accounting is a big issue, right? And doing accounting right, and there's all kinds of things that happen inside of accounting. But the one thing that you and I talked about that seems to be an issue is law firm profit leakage. So it's kind of that silent cost of manual expense tracking. So tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So I know, like, as a CPA, I love numbers, right? And I get that most people that are not accountants don't love bookkeeping. I get it, but there's just things that when you let it go, if you ignore it, it actually gets worse. And this, your bookkeeping is one of them. And so profit leakage is a term that we use to describe your everyday expenses that are going untracked or unbilled. And so what I often have this conversation with clients, and they'll say, I'm just struggling. I'm not understanding why I feel like I should be making more money. I'm like, okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about, does this situation sound familiar? You stop in the office, you're on your way to court, you're gonna pack up your stuff because you've got, you've got your binder, and you look at your binder, and the old school 3-ring binders. I know a lot of attorneys still take these to court. One of the middle ring is broken, right? And you're like, oh my gosh. I'm running to court, but I need this binder. It needs to function. So you zip out of the office, you stop at Walmart, you run in, and now in your head, you're thinking, you're rehearsing your opening statement, right? Like that, you're not thinking anything about this binder, but you need the binder because you got to get all the stuff into the new binder so that when you're in the court, you can flip and everything's good, right? So you go into Walmart, you run in, you just grab the first binder that's the right size. You go out to the car, you furiously transfer all the papers over, you're all set. What you weren't thinking, because we're so focused on our case, which is well-deserved, that's where you should be focusing, but you're not thinking, oh my gosh, I ran out, I didn't grab the receipt, or if you did, you threw it in your pocket, or you threw it on the car floor mat, right? And you paid cash. Now, that's a valid business expense. And leakage, think of profit leakage just like a drippy faucet, right? The faucet that just drip, 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 which one little raindrop, one little water drop isn't a big deal. But put a bowl underneath the faucet, And overnight it's full because all of that, right? All the little drops are collecting. And so repeat that scenario throughout the course of your day, throughout a week, throughout the quarter, and throughout a whole year. And what if that binder, I mean, what are binders now? Like $8 or $9? So if you did that every day, that adds up. It very quickly adds up. Okay. And so the idea about profit leakage is we want to stop the leak. And it's just such a struggle. And I get it. I have been, so while I'm a CPA, I own an accounting firm. I have been a firm owner for 20 years. This is my 20th year being a firm owner. So I get the struggle. It's all about the clients, right? That's all we're focusing on. And it's so hard to keep all the pieces together. But it just adds up very quickly. And I know I was just reading, there was a study that my case did, and it's been in the last year. I can't remember exactly what the date was, but they did a study of law firms and said, what are the things like this situation, this profit leakage, how much do you think you're losing per year? And the study got to a conclusion where law firms may lose up to 20% of client related expenses. Okay.
That's
So I'm
huge.
not even going to make you do math. Right.
So really, that's an incredible number. So really profit leakage we're defining as really missed expenses. So these are expenses that are happening regardless of who it is, right? So regardless
Absolutely.
of who it is in the firm, we're missing those expenses, and that profit leakage so a missed expense. So, well, they didn't capture that expense. So how did it really erode the profit? Because it's, well, they didn't catch it. So, how do they make up for it? How does that work? I'm a layman on that, but I have that problem in my business.
Yeah. Oh, I think every business has. I struggle with this. So don't get me wrong. Like there's nobody perfect in this world, but the problem is, and where I lose track is when I'm traveling. So I'm either speaking at a conference or I'm going to visit a client. I'm in the airport and I'm like, ooh, I could write off this meal. But what did I do? I left the receipt on the table, right? So it's just very frustrating because it's just not top of mind. It really is. It's just one of those things. And think about if you're not a solo. So now think about if you do it and your butt's on the line, right? If I'm the firm owner and I'm struggling with this, and now if I've got, say I have 3 people working for me and they're all doing the same thing to different extents, right? Because attorneys, you've got your associates and they have different types of expenses. They might have more networking expenses, but your paralegals are going to have your filing fees. And oh my goodness, you don't want to miss your filing fees. You want to make sure that you're capturing those so that you can bill those back to clients. And another thing, not only is it that you forget, but what I oftentimes see is that a firm owner will use a personal credit card. And so you've got a personal credit card, and you might have a firm card and a credit card, or I'm sorry, a personal card and a personal and a firm card, so 2 separate cards. And you have to leave the firm card in your office on your desk because a paralegal, you've got to run to court or meeting, whatever it is. But a paralegal needs your firm card to do a filing today. And then you run out and you encounter some situation where it's a billable expense and you're like, oh, I've got a card. I just pull it out of my wallet. Use this credit card, not thinking that it's a personal credit card. But guess what? Your personal credit card gets mailed to your house, and then your spouse may just pay it and not think to say, hey, wait a minute, there's some expenses on here. And I don't know that these are all personal. And so it just kind of seeps out, and it's really scary about how much, and really my problem with this whole thing is that, so you don't even have to do the math on the 100,000. So on the 20%. So I had talked about the my case study where they were saying, they got to a point where about 20% of your overhead, is not being captured correctly. Well, 20% of 100,000 is $20,000, right? But take this one step further, because I'm going to compound the pain. Okay. So on $100,000, if we miss $20,000, that's going to increase your tax bill anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000. So not only did you miss a deduction where you could have billed back a client to recoup that money, you've paid out money now that you're not going to be recovering, and you now have to pay Uncle Sam another couple $1,000s on that. It's just it's a big problem. It really is.
Yeah. So Kelley, in your experience, what are the most common missed expenses that you see over the years that you've been doing this as a CPA with law firms, and certainly in conjunction with my case? What are those big ones? What are the top two or three that you see, that you always see it?
I definitely office supplies. That is by far the biggest one, because somebody needs something and, I'm just going to run down the street to Walmart, Staples, whatever. I'm just going to run to the office supply store. I'm going to grab whatever it is. And I don't know if you're like me, but I can't, like, Target is my $100 store. I run in for, aspirin for like $5 and I walk out with $100 of stuff. So office supplies is by far probably the biggest thing that I see hit with this. I see it less frequently with filing fees, but I do actually see it quite often with expert witnesses, because what happens is you're walking out the door and you get an expert witness that calls and says, "Hey, I need my invoice paid." And you're like, "Oh, dude, I'm running late to dinner with my spouse. I got, and they're like, "But I need this paid." And you're like, "Fine." And you just jump on the computer, and you bang out, and you just, whatever credit card you could find, you're in a hurry, not even thinking about it. And if it's not on a business credit card, that statement, so at least with a business credit card, that statement would go to your bookkeeper, if that's presumably not you. And then your bookkeeper, that would trigger. And the bookkeeper would then say, "Hey, wait a minute, I'm looking at your credit card statement, and I see this happened. What can I bill this back to?" And so those are probably the biggest things.
Well, Kelley, it seems like that we have identified certainly not just a problem, but there's so many moving parts here to profit leakage. On the other side now, we're going to talk about what the solutions are. We're so glad you're with us. We'll be right back with Kelley Brubaker to talk about solutions.
Why do 60,000 legal professionals choose MyCase as a partner in their success? Designed specifically for law firms, MyCase offers industry-leading business management software to help you convert leads and get clients onboarded quickly with dynamic online forms. Foster collaboration using cloud-based case management and secure communication portals. Streamline tasks and workflows with tailored legal AI. And experience unparalleled financial control with built-in spend management and legal accounting. Freeing your focus for high-impact work, helping you to deliver exceptional service every time. So why MyCase? Because your law firm deserves a partner as dynamic and dedicated as you. MyCase, practice management made simple.
Okay, Lemonaders, we are back with Kelley Brubaker, CPA and education partner with MyCase, and we have identified the issue. And that issue is law firm profit leakage. It's a silent cost. It's a manual expense tracking. That's the issue. So Kelley, tell us a little bit about, I was reading in your bio, I do want to say, so empowering clients to truly understand their numbers. And the last line in this was providing the ability to make strategic decisions that drive sustainable profitability. So what can firms do about this issue of profit leakage?
Absolutely. So the deal with profit leakage, you've got to stop it, right? So again, we were talking about a drip out of a faucet, okay? So most would call a plumber, and then the plumber would know you've got to take, I don't know what the parts are, but you unscrew the one part and you got to put the little O-ring back on, a new one, and then you screw it back on, and then it stops the leak, right? Okay. And so I'm not saying that you have to call an accountant, because what's amazing is that my case partnered with Visa, Marqeta, and Emprise Bank to be able to offer what's called LawPay Visa Business Card. And it's not just a business credit card. It's tied to an app called Smart Spend. And this tool is amazing. Trust me, this blows me away that this, like, we're in 2025. I'm so excited to live in this time. Like, I would not have survived 100 years ago. Okay. I'll just be honest. So, but this Smart Spend, the Smart Spend tool, what happens is, so you get this credit card and it's issued to the firm. And so say the firm gets a credit limit of $20,000. And when the card is issued to you, you go out and now you're going to pay an expert witness fee. So you're visiting in person at the expert witness, at their office. And so they're like, oh, hey, I'm going to run your credit card. And you're like, here you go. Well, the minute they run that card, and then the transaction gets processed, you get a text message from the Smart Spend tool to your phone. And it says, hey, Kelley, you just used your credit card for this transaction. Is this a billable expense? And you're like, oh, yes, it is, right? So you click, yes, it is. And then it'll say, well, what client are we going to bill this back to? And you're like, oh, ABC client. And what, if they have multiple cases, what case is it going to be billed back to? If whether you say yes, it's billable or not billable, it will say, please take a picture right now of the receipt so that we will capture that and save it. That's your archive copy now. So you could, if you had the receipt in your hand, you could just throw it away at this point, because now you've taken a picture of it, it's archived, and then that information gets captured. And so if it's billable, this is magical. If it's billable and you've assigned it to a client, and you'll put in there, you have an option to say this was an expert witness fee. It pops up automatically when you go to draft the next bill. So you're in my case and you're like, ooh, like 3 weeks later, you're like, ooh, I have to draft my bill to this client. And automatically it will pop up and say, you had this expert witness fee for however much, it's ready to be billed back to the client. And then you confirm that, yes, you want to include it. It's like phenomenal that this technology even exists right now.
That is just what an amazing solution to, missing receipts and hassling and trying to pull them up, and they're in my backpack and it was over here, and then I've got to put them all together and shit. What a real world solution that is. So what other business benefits are there with being able to do that? Look, first of all, that's just incredible, because that solves so many issues. But what are those other issues that you see as a CPA that really solves?
So what I actually love most about this, not only are we stopping the profit leakage, but when Uncle Sam knocks on your door and says, guess what? You got selected to be audited. We have all of our receipts because we've captured them all. So if your return gets selected for audit, it helps you audit proof your firm, right? Because that's a big deal. So not only is profit leakage a big deal, but I see this every day where receipts are just not captured. There's no storage at all, or even worse, oh my gosh. So I don't know if you remember, because I'm old, but the receipts actually used to print in ink, like real ink. And then they went into, what is it, thermal imaging or thermal ink or whatever it is. It's not real ink anymore,
sign here, press hard, 3 copies.
Right. Oh, the triplicate. So, but the problem with the thermal paper receipts is that you leave it on the dashboard in your car, and it's, I'm in Cleveland, but so you're like,
done. I'm in Arizona. If I leave anything in my car, it's roasted.
Toast.
It's roasted. It's gone. Or I come back and it's ash.
Right. Exactly. But because we captured the image at the time of the transaction, we have that copy. So now you're going to make the IRS happy. Okay. You're going to make your tax person, whoever does your tax return, they're going to be happy because that's less like that's just a load off their mind. But it's just, and beyond that, like this smart spend tool, not only does it help you, like those two, like just the benefits we've talked about so far, just like really make my heart sing. Like it's just a huge weight off my shoulders. But there's an even better bonus. So I don't know about you, but I know for me, I've done this for my firm and I've done it with other clients for my clients. You call the bank and you're like, hey, I'm going to do an application for a business credit card. And they're like, great, 20 grand approved. Okay. Now you need to give me each person and you've got to fill out a form. Okay. And I'm not going to lie. I was a CFO at a bank like, decades ago, it was a lifetime ago. And everybody in a bank lives and dies by forms. Okay. So every time, so initially I get the credit card and I fill out, oh yeah, I've got 2 associates and a paralegal. I want them all to have credit cards. And then you have to say, oh, your $20,000 limit, I want it split between these different cards in this manner. Okay, perfect. But paralegal quits and you're like, ugh. So now you got to fill out the form again because you got to remove that card. So you fill out the form, submit it to the bank. And then you have to wait a couple days for them to process that. Okay, great. And then you eventually hire a new paralegal. Guess what? We got to fill out a new form to add the new paralegal with a new credit limit, right? Well, the way that the Smart Spend tool, oh my goodness, it eliminates all of that. You log into your account online, and I don't know the time frame. They'll probably kill me if I say this, but I'm thinking within less than a minute, you will have a new card created. And if it's somebody that only, so like if you have an office staff like paralegal that only ever needs to do online transactions, you can create what's called a virtual credit card, which is all the information you need to do an online payment without a physical card in your hands. And it literally very quickly, instantaneously, you set it right up right there. You have visibility on your dashboard in real time, what everybody has been spending on. It's you can also even go in and you can say, I want my paralegal to be able to pay for filing fees, court costs, expert witness fees, but never do I want to see a transaction go through for gas. And it will reject. So if they have a physical card and they go to a gas station and inadvertently, because I'm going to give benefit of the doubt, right, pulls out the wrong card, puts it in the machine at the gas pump and it's the wrong card, it will reject because you did not approve. So you can go through the classes of transactions.
That is just incredible. Right? I just, this has absolutely been 22 minutes so well spent, and it just blew by because I know that there's I know that there's more. I know that there's so many other business applications, but I mean, from talking of what we talked about controlling expenses and missed expenses because of this leakage, to going to a solution of being able to control real-time expenses, capture real-time expenses, and control them from if there's a member of the firm that is not authorized to do this expense, it's controlled through this tool also. That is a true solution. Kelley, look, it's been amazing. So what do you have as you are a lemon head for sure. I mean, that's just
and I'm so excited. I told you this made my week.
Thank you for being our newest lemon head. And is there anything as a parting shot or anything that you want to, maybe some flavor that you want to add to the lemonade in parting?
Oh, well, my go-to is tequila, but
okay.
We got a little spicy. But no, I mean, this is definitely something that firms should consider. I mean, I know numbers can be horrible, and it's just dreaded to work on your bookkeeping, talking to a bookkeeper. I get all that, but these are the conversations that are worth having, because my ultimate goal when I work with clients is to put more money into their personal bank accounts. So whatever we need to do to make that happen, and this is a tool that will help you make that happen.
Well, this has been very valuable time and definitely valuable for our Lemonaders. Kelley Brubaker, My Case. How do you reach out and check out this solution?
So if you jump over to the MyCase website, there'll be a link that you can apply for Smart Spend. Look for the link that talks about Smart Spend, and that'll get you where you need to go.
Amazing. Kelley, thank you so much. And to our listeners, we'll see you next time on The Stand.